All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. 150K content sequence. Absolutely. Um, hey, LaToya. I was actually thinking about you the other day, wondering what you were up to. Super excited to see you here. All right, so the 150K content sequence. Um, I have to come up with a catchy title, right? Like, I understand that, you know, everyone might not have the same results. And you put out a piece of content and you put that content out and you're like, man, no one's responding. No one is even seeing this. Like the algorithm is against me, right? And I want to share with you the content sequence that I share with clients. But I also want to caveat and let you know that everyone is going to have different results. You are all special snowflakes, okay? So just because one client was able to generate 150,000 with this content sequence, just because I've been able to create $1 million business with this content sequence, just because another client's been able to do, like I'm kind of harping on that, but like your results are going to be different. Now, the first thing a lot of times people think about when they think about putting out content, they automatically think about social media. So they think of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. People still post on Twitter, LinkedIn. Actually forgot about LinkedIn. I updated all my social media profiles recently and I completely forgot to update LinkedIn. So I got to update that. I wanted to make my photo the same across all profiles. So most people think of social media platforms, and social media platforms are great for putting out content and actually bringing people in. But let's first think about like what was there before social media. Before social media, there was in-person media, I guess, right? So there was in-person engaging, and people would go to networking events. They would connect with local leaders. They would go to live events. So there were a lot of these in-person things that were happening that did not happen over social media. If a business wanted to get more eyeballs, they would run an ad in the newspaper. Like there just wasn't this whole online world. And so now that we're in this online world, a lot of people, the first thing they do is go towards social media. But there's actually a lot of other ways to reach people and to create content that will sell for you over and over and over again. Um, Not only your platforms, but being on other people's platforms as well. So that's not necessarily what we're going to be talking about today, but I am putting that inside of the challenge. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So I want to cover the content sequence that my client used. And I guess I have to kind of go back and tell her story from the very start. So a couple of years ago, I created 3 or 4 different coaching programs. And essentially, I was still in the stage of my business where I was still trying to figure out like what was the best thing I could deliver for clients. I knew that there were a lot of things that I could offer. There were a lot of things that I could do, a lot of things that I was good at, but I didn't quite know like what's the one thing that people want to buy and the one thing that I can sell and deliver. So I had the You've Got Clients program. That's what it was called at the time. So if you've seen like testimonials where clients talk about You've Got Clients program, that's the program that I had. I had a program called the Automated Sales Incubator. I really, really, really liked that program. I had a program called Test, Tweak, and Twerk, which was all about getting Facebook ads to work for you, because once you get them to work, you'll want to twerk. I had a program called what was the other program I had? Lots of other programs. And as I went through and continued like creating these programs, I would work with clients here, work with clients there, and I started to realize that there was always like this one thing that was missing. So for clients who first came to work with me in You've Got Clients, the main thing we did was create a webinar, which is a piece of content, right? So we would create a webinar. I call it the anti-webinar, but we would create a webinar, and then from there we would put that out there and help them get calls booked. So that was the whole goal, is to get calls booked. We didn't do any direct to sale webinar, with the exception of one client. I worked on her webinar to help her with her course. And then when clients came in the Automated Sales Incubator, a lot of times clients came in that. What we worked on in there was we worked on getting those automated sales. So those, payment notifications that everybody wants, everyone desires to have. We would work on creating the content piece that you needed for that, which was, generally speaking, a low ticket course. So if you want to do, kind of like the automated sales process, generally speaking, you need a low ticket course. But the way that we created that low ticket course was also a piece of content. Okay. And then when we did, clients came and worked with me in the Test, Tweak, and Twerk program, which was all about Facebook ads. That's where they really needed like that social media content. So the first thing I want to bring your attention to is that content is not just what you put out on social media. It's what you use to sell your services, like to sell your phone call, to get people onto that consultation call with you. It's what you use to sell your low ticket offer. So it could be a sales page, but also inside of the low ticket offer, there's a strategy that we use to actually upgrade people. And so I'll talk about that later. I'm trying not to get too much off track. My brain is like going in multiple directions right now. And then there's also content you can just put on social media. So when this client came to me, she started paying attention because I was sharing my content, right? I was doing the same content strategy that I'm going to be talking about today. And she found me because I was just sharing these specific pieces of content. It's like 10 pieces of content that you share, and you just interchange things and like run it over and over again. I've always been the type of person that has been interested in working smarter, not harder. So with everything, I always try to find like what's the most efficient and effective way that I can do things. The reason why I've got 2 cameras going right now, it's because I don't want to have to sit and record additional YouTube videos, right? I want to just like sit one time and like, let's just record that. So, regardless. Okay. So we started working together on putting these content pieces together. And so when she found me, she was like, okay, she was like, I'm going to sign up for your program. And I had a low ticket program that I was running at the time. And I was like, okay, this is a kind of like the challenge, right? Like the challenge is low ticket. It's $97 general admission, and then it's $297 for a VIP ticket if you want to get your questions answered. So it's like super low ticket. And so she signed up for a low ticket program, and she had an opportunity to learn from me. And one of the things that she said was like, I've never heard anybody break things down the way that you break them down. Like I actually understand it. I can tell that this is what I need. So from there, she upgraded into the You've Got Clients program. I showed her how to put together the webinar, the anti-webinar. And then also I shared with her the content strategy, which I call a content blitz. And that's what I'm going to explain in just a second. She started putting out the pieces for her content blitz. And she was the client that was able to make 10K in 10 days. And when all was said and done, I think she had generated like $11,000 by like the 13th or 14th day, but that's not as sexy as 10K in 10 days. Like I like that wording. So I've always just used that. And then from there, she continued generating income from her offer, from her coaching program. She never really knew how to speak about it, how to trigger and how to get people to move. And this is, like I said, I try to be careful because, a lot of these strategies that I've learned them from a full gamut of people. So I've learned them from people who, people will say, oh, they're a scammer. They got me to, spend my money, XYZ, whatever. And then I've also learned it from people are like, oh my gosh, like this person changed my life. I can't believe that, they're charging so little, et cetera, et cetera. So my point in saying that is that the strategies work. The person using the strategies has to be ethical. And so this is the reason why I don't normally share these strategies for free on like live streams or like inside of YouTube videos or like really talk about them, because I have to know that the person that I'm explaining them to understands how powerful they are, and they know like they are an ethical person. And this is why I only share them with clients. So with that said, she started going through what's called the content blitz. So if you guys have heard of the content blitz before, you may have heard me talk about it before. Maybe you have not. There are a couple different stages in the content blitz, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. All right. Okay. Let me pull it up today. Any questions on that so far? Not really. I don't think there's anything I gave you that really should have questions, but just in case. All right. Now, if you came to the 30K in 30-day launch challenge, I talked about this a little bit, but I didn't fully break it down because, once again, that was a free challenge. So I didn't like fully break it down there. Um, but I'm going to share that with you. Share it with you today. Who's excited? Okay. I should have pulled this up already, but I didn't have it. So I got to give me a moment. Now I'm all logged out of my account. All right, while we wait for me to pull this stuff up, give me an idea of what you are selling and at what price. Okay. What are you selling and at what price? I'm going to put the chat overlay up. You can just say I'm selling coaching, but I would love to know like what kind of coaching. If you're selling coaching, if you're selling courses, then give me like the actual content. Like, what are you selling? Like, I help people do what? And then give me your highest ticket price. Let's start with the highest ticket price. And so you could have like all sorts of prices. And as you do that, I'm going to pull up the content blitz strategy that is going to help you sell that thing that you're about to put in this comments in this chat, the chat overlay that's over here. I'm about to give you the goods on how to actually sell that thing. And this is just a little sneak peek. Okay. All right. So when I shared this with her, I think she was in the automated sales incubator when I first shared this content blitz with her. All right. I feel like for some reason, it should be here, but for some reason it's not here. Just give me a moment. Okay, good. All right. Perfect. Ooh, we got a lot of coaches in here. Awesome. Keep them coming. Because I pulled this, I'm searching for this, it's on a spreadsheet. So let me filter it and say spreadsheet, and that should help. All right. Now I'm about to get upset. Okay. Stand by. Pay no attention to the man behind the window. All right. All right, here we go. I think I found it. I'll just type in launch and then I'll find my launch thing. Because this is what I do with my launch. Hey, Nishama. Okay, here we go. Found. All right, you guys ready for this? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's right here too. In module 10. So here it is. I should have just pulled this up first. Okay. All right, we're ready for this? Thank you for helping me to fill the gap while I look for that. Let me come and read the comments. All right. Life and spiritual coaching for women. Keisha says, I help business owner reduce system overwhelm and build community. All right. We got 1,500. We got 67 a month for a course for moms. 1-year coaching program at $20K. $597 for health, nutrition, fitness. Medical billing, $997. You could probably price that one higher. I had a client who did the exact same thing. She told me the numbers of what you can make as a medical biller. So $1,000 it's like not even a fraction of She told me, okay, I have to pause for a second because if you are truly helping people start get medical billing, getting started with medical billing, she took a percentage of all the billing that she did for clients, like a percentage, percentage. I'm saying that word over and over again. She took a percentage. The percentage was higher than $1,000 on just the very first client. So I would like for you to rethink that. But I'm not your coach yet, so we would have to chat about that. What's going on, Jody? All right, so we got 3 months for 1,600, 12 month, 850 a month, branding services at 2,500, business program for 997, and then the 101 for 20K. Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. So if your agency does amazing numbers, I would suggest reframing the pricing for them. Life coach for women, dating, depression, and trauma program is $997. Okay, we're going to talk about pricing too. So let me take, before we get into this, let me take just a little quick second to tell you about the challenge. So the challenge that's coming up, it's coming up next week. So it's less than 10 days. It's called the Content That Sells Challenge. During the challenge, I'm going to be sharing with you not only this strategy, which is just one piece, but also like talking about how to structure your content so that it positions you for the pricing that you really want. Everyone says, okay, 997, 47, 1500, 3000, whatever, like you've chosen your number, but there's a way to structure your content so clients don't even question your pricing. And if you understand how to structure your content and what wording to use and when and where and how to say it and what to emphasize and things like that, you'll like the pricing will be irrelevant and you're able to charge what you want to charge. So we are going to be talking about that. If you want to get into the challenge, you can go to LaTisha.tv/content. And if you go there, it'll take you to the challenge page. All right, LaTisha.tv/content. Okay, let's cover what she did in order to do 150K in 6 days. All right, so we got a journey that clients have to take in order for them to believe that three things. They have to believe that they have to believe you. So they have to believe that you are the one to help them with the problem that they have. They have to believe that the problem that they have can be solved. And they have to believe that the way you are helping them is the way that they will actually get results, will actually get that problem solved. So they have to believe in you. They have to believe in your method. And they also have to believe that it's possible. So a lot of times what people do when they first start sharing content is they only share content that helps people believe in them, right? Imagine if the only like this is an example of a piece of content that helps you believe in me. I'm saying, okay, my client was able to do this because I helped her do that. But that's not the thing that actually moves people, right? I do this for you guys because I love you and I'm trying to, help you go a little bit deeper with this stuff. But I wouldn't share this as a front facing thing. Why? Because it's about me and it's not about the other person. It's not about the person on the other side of the computer. It's not about the person who's interested in actually getting help. They don't care about me yet. They also don't care about my client yet because the very first thing that's going to pop up in their head when I say my client uses this to create 6 figures, they're going to say, what does she do? How is she different than me? What excuse can I use and cling on to so that I can say, oh, it only worked because of this XYZ thing? So for those of you who are sharing testimonials or you do share, how you helped clients and this, that, and the other, depending on where you structure those and where you slot that in, they might not be as effective as they could be. Join the content challenge and we'll talk more about that. Okay. But as far as helping clients come to those 3 conclusions, there's a journey that every client needs to go on. It's called the journey of belief. This is inside of the Path to 6 Figures program. And I teach it in there inside of module 10. And I'm going to be breaking it down even more inside of the challenge as well. So the first thing that we have to do in order to take clients along this journey of belief, so they believe those 3 things, which is belief in you, belief in your method, and belief that it's possible, is we have to tackle the belief that it's possible first. And so we do that by establishing the desire. So what do you desire? What do you want? What is your goal? And so you'll notice, well, maybe you haven't noticed because I haven't talked about this a lot, but whenever I do my launches and whenever I've done my free challenges, typically speaking, on the first day of the challenge, we always set a goal. We always say, what's your goal? What do you want to accomplish? Why are you here? What's your why? And we set that big goal. The reason that we do that is because we're starting down that path of the journey of belief. And you can do it. You don't have to only do it in a free challenge. You don't have to only do it in your social media content. Like, you do it when you have a conversation. What do you want? It makes logical sense, right? How do you know how to help someone if you don't know what they want? You might be over here saying, okay, well, I can help you to grow your Instagram following, but that's not what they want. They actually want to grow their YouTube subscribers. Just a dumb example, but you have to understand what does the other person want. And so we have to figure out, what is that desire. If we understand what that desire is and we know that we can actually help them, then we can help move them to the next stage of the journey of belief. Yes, this content challenge is coming up. It's February 27th that's coming up. This is going to be the first time that I'm hosting it. So I would love to have you in there. You can go to latisha.tv/content in order to get signed up. All right. From there, now we have to tackle the second thing, which is helping them to come to a belief in a belief that it's possible, but also a little bit of a belief in your method. So we're not talking about you yet. We're just talking about your method. And so this is where we come to step 2, which is having a solution. Okay. So we start talking about there is a solution. And essentially what we're doing is helping people see that there's hope. If, for example, you sell health, wellness, and fitness, and the desire is, I desire to, have a Coke bottle shape, then we've established that's the desire. If you know you can help clients get there, if you know you can help them achieve that Coke bottle shape, then your next step is to share with them that, yes, there is a solution. And so this is where you would share that solution-based content of, the specific solution, not necessarily talking about you yet, right? But you're just talking about your solution. And here's where you can kind of touch on like testimonials, but you have to be careful how you share them. You don't share them as this client did this and they worked with me and they got this result. Yay. This is where you share the story, because once again, they don't care about your client yet. They don't care about you yet. All they care about is, I have this desire. There's this thing that I want, but I don't really know if it's possible. And so that's what we're doing in these first 2 steps. Make sense? Okay, good. The next thing that we start tackling is we start tackling their fear. Okay, so the next things that come up, as soon as you decide and you choose that you want to do something, the fears are going to come up. So that fear of, is it possible? Can I do it? Is it going to be hard? Am I going to get laughed at? Am I still going to feel insignificant? Like, there's genuine fears that come up that people have. And if you don't know what those fears are and you're not prepared to attack them, you're going to lose people at this stage. And it's the reason why you can't ascend people into the final stage of commitment and actually like taking action, because you haven't touched those fears. You haven't actually stared them in the face. And unfortunately, some of you guys as marketers are scared to touch on the fears because you think you're being spammy. Like, you're scared to tell people, hey, if you don't get help, you could end up in the hospital. Like, I was actually, so side story. I went to go get I went to a specialist to get a sleep study yesterday. I didn't actually go to sleep. I have to order the sleep package. And on the wall, they were talking about the dangers of sleep apnea. So if you're not familiar with sleep apnea, it's basically like when you fall asleep, you stop breathing, essentially. It's dangerous, right? And on the wall, on this image, they were talking about, here's how sleep apnea affects you. Here's the, potential costs. Here's how much you could save when you get this fixed. And I'm going to share I took a screenshot of it. I took a picture of it. I'm going to share it and create a piece of content on it later. But like, them understanding that there is a sincere consequence for not getting this fixed is what's going to help them and allow them. It sells for them, right? It helps people to figure out, okay, well, actually, I do need to keep moving and try to actually get this fixed. By the way, I don't snore, in case you're wondering, but someone else believes that I do. So therefore, sleep study. All right. So once we move from desire, the solution, and the fear, then the next thing that happens is we've got to tackle the doubts that they might have. So generally speaking, what happens is as soon as people decide that, okay, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I'm interested in fixing, and you have a chance to like tackle those fears and say, okay, well, those fears are unfounded, and they're not as serious as you think they are because of XYZ. Then the doubts start coming in. What are the doubts? The doubts are, typically speaking, the internal things that they're feeling and reasons why they believe they in particular cannot get help. This is where you do start to bring in your more like your method and you. And the reason that I share this is one of the biggest doubts that my clients have is, well, I'm not going to be able to make sales because I'm an introvert. I don't want to get out there. I don't want to have to, do live streams every day. I don't want to have to do sales calls. I don't want to have to like do all these things because it's going to drain me. I already know it's going to drain my energy. Therefore, I'm going to stick here and play small. I'm going to go ahead and, create this, lower ticket course only and not have any other high ticket program because I've heard that I can sell this from a pre-recorded webinar and then, okay, I don't have to, get out there and do things. And so this the reason why, like, I have to address those doubts. If I don't address those doubts, they're going to continue to believe those doubts in their head. And so this is why you'll notice a lot of times I talk about like me creating a system and a process that works for introverts and that has worked for me and has helped me to bring clients in without feeling, spammy or stressed about like doing outreach. Like I don't do cold DMs. Like my systems that I have set up bring clients to me. And that's what I help clients set up. And the reason that we do that is because a lot of my clients are introverts. So there's a reason that I talk about that. Okay. So if you don't know what those doubts are, you got to figure out those doubts as well. Um, I don't. Let's see. When you sleep, you can't hear that you snore. Nah, I don't snore. I don't. I do not. All right. So we got desire, solution, fear, doubt. And then the next thing is once you've tackled those things, so you tackled their desire, you've shown them that there's an actual solution that's possible to get to that desire. You tackled those fears, you tackled that doubt. Then we can move into that next piece, which is hope. And this is where, like I said, I typically don't share this piece because this is where a lot of people end up getting manipulated. And if you know how to do this right, you actually can manipulate people. And like manipulation has always been seen as a negative thing. It's like, well, I didn't want to do that, but that person talked me into doing it. And the reason that this is possible is because humans have hope. Like we always believe if there's something that we want, like we never lose hope. And it's what makes us human. The fact that we can hope and that we can see beyond. Like there's a reason that the slogan, "You're only one funnel away," is so powerful. Why? Because it gives you hope. You're like, okay, well, not this one, then maybe the next one. Like I'm going to continue to hope. And I'm not saying that that slogan is manipulative. All I'm saying is that if you use this in conjunction with some other things that you can use where you can bypass the whole like thinking process for that person, if like there's people who are really good at this and they manipulate thousands of people into buying. So you have to be ethical with it. There's a reason that when I share stuff, and even at the top of this live stream, when I shared like, hey, everyone's going to have, a different outcome. It's because I understand how that hope, that level of hope can cause people to do things that they wouldn't do normally. And you have to be ethical with it. That's all I'll say about that. And so I'm not going to go too deep into like what type of content to share here, because once again, this is a free live stream, but I'll be sharing more about it inside of the content challenge. And then the final stage of the journey of belief is commitment. So once someone has made the commitment and they've decided, okay, great, I believe in that it's possible. I believe that it's possible for me. I believe that it's possible with you, and I believe that it's possible through what you're doing, then this is where we have to actually get a commitment. So this is where we say, sign up for XYZ, comment below, um, send me a DM with the word, ready if you're ready. Click here to purchase, right? So whatever your call to action is, this is where we get that commitment. And different pieces of content are going to have different levels of commitment. So when my client was doing her content blitz, she had some content that took people through this journey of belief in one piece of content, and hit on all of these stages: the desire, the fear, the doubt, the hope, the missing the second one, the solution, and the commitment. She hit all of those in one piece of content. There were some pieces of content that were strictly just desire based. There were some pieces of content that were simply fear, doubt, and commitment based. So once you know not only how to structure the content, but also in what order to structure it, it actually makes your content strategy much easier. So, for example, a lot of people will share, okay, here's a content calendar and you can create 30 pieces of content. Or, hire me as your social media manager and I'll create content for you. If your social media manager doesn't understand the psychology behind the content they're creating, all they're going to end up doing is creating a pretty Instagram for you. And so you'll have content, you'll have words out there, but those words won't be doing anything to actually bring people on this journey and take them from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 and ultimately where you want them to be. So when my client did 150K, she did it all from her Facebook profile, which surprisingly, people say, oh, I don't like Facebook, and I hadn't liked Facebook in a while. But it's like almost everybody's on Facebook, right? They're paying attention. Not only that, the buyers are on Facebook. There's still people on TikTok. It's still a little bit of a younger platform. There's people on Instagram. Most of the time, people go to Instagram for inspiration. And so it's a great place to share your inspirational content. And you can share some call to action content there as well. But every platform is a little bit different. And so that's the other thing. You got to know where to put the content, which platform you should be putting it on, how to structure it and sequence it so that, people are seeing the right thing at the right time, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's the reason why, for example, you might share some content if you're doing this strategy and you might not get very many responses underneath, right? You might not get a lot of comments, a lot of likes, but then suddenly you see oh, I got a bunch of calls booked. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because there's specific content that we use when we want to speak directly to our buyer. And then there's other content that we use when we want to kind of manipulate the algorithm just to get more visibility. And it's all part of the plan. It's all part of the master plan. So let me know what questions you have, and I think we're good from there. Why does it feel like there's so much space above my head? And I'm just now realizing this. And I'm going to fix it right at the end. Why? Just because. All right, cool. Why didn't anybody tell me there's a huge house of space above my head? Carolyn says I said the same thing to my husband. Then he produced a video. Okay. All of a sudden I hear this video. He presses play and I'm like, I don't know who that is. It's dark. I don't hear anything. Hey, Diane. All right, awesome. Humans have a built-in innate need to believe. We absolutely do. Hey, Sarah Jane, I love that in your heart here. Thanks for highlighting how it can be misused. It absolutely can. And so here's the thing. So I've studied with a lot of different people. One person that I study with in particular had a specific Facebook ad strategy that I use, and they do MLM, right? So their goal is to bring people into a business opportunity. And they showed me some really cool things that work really, really well. And I remember looking at that. I think I paid $2,000 to be a part of that mentorship. This was several years ago. And once I saw that, I was like, wow, I had no idea people were doing this. There was some of it was a little black hat. Black hat meaning that not as generally accepted by the platforms. So what I did was I figured out, okay, here's the strategy and thought process behind it. And here's how I'm going to modify it for me and for myself based on what I know I want to do and the clients I want to serve and how I want to show up. And so it worked for me. It didn't work as well as what they were doing because obviously they were doing something that was just, it was over my moral line, but it still worked. So what I'll say is like, even as you learn a lot of these strategies, like take from it what you know is going to work with your personality and work with your personal moral line and your line of ethics, and then go from there. I believe that you can be successful while still being true to yourself and being true to your morality and your ethical level. I guess I don't know what word to use after that, but your level of ethics, like you can still make money. Like I've made $1 million being honest with people. So, and I'm very honest, but I'm like, well, it may work for you, but it's going to depend. You gotta be a high achiever. Cool. Okay. Space wasn't problematic. All right. Awesome. Someone once said marketers are manipulators. I mean, I have to agree with that. And there's so if you're familiar with Seth Godin, he had a book called All Marketers Are Liars. And he got um, so much backlash from the book, he changed the name of the book to All Marketers Are Storytellers. And I believe that there's a difference between a lie and a tall tale. And what's the difference? There's a very fine line. The difference between a lie and a tall tale is a lie harms someone, a tall tale gives them enjoyment. Even though the tall tale is not true, but if you remember those stories like when you were a kid and you heard the story and you were like, man, that was a good story. And then you realize that it actually wasn't a true story, but you weren't harmed by it because you enjoyed it and it didn't cause you to like take your last dollar out of your pocket, right? That's what I consider my type of marketing to be. It's like I would rather go towards there rather than the other way, uh, versus like just straight out lies. And it's also the reason why when I work with clients, I do success calls, video based calls, because anytime I have like a written testimonial or something where a client has talked about what they have done, I want to make sure that like we have this documented, like this is what they said from their mouth, not something that I'm just writing out. Or because I think you guys would probably be surprised if your eyes were open to like a lot of the stuff that does go on in the marketing world. Unfortunately, there are people that manipulate screenshots and results, and say that they've done XYZ and they really haven't. And if you are familiar with what's his name? I think his name is Spencer. There's a guy on YouTube who he does a lot of like behind the scenes breakdowns of business owners and their wording. So, and like what they've said versus like what's true. And I think it's really cool to watch those. Obviously I take everything with a grain of salt because, he makes money from those things too, but still it's like, I think it's interesting to see. Anyways, ethical barometer. Thank you. I love that. Okay. Can we use this content for Facebook ads? Absolutely. And so here's the cool thing. So I started doing this strategy inside of a Facebook group recently. The Facebook group has like over 500,000 members, and they're all women entrepreneurs. I'm not going to name the group. Some of you are in there already, probably already know the name of the group. And I just started doing my normal content strategy in there. I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to do it. We're going to take over the world, right? And I was actually a little bit surprised at first because I was like, oh man, like these posts are hitting, I'm getting good engagement, et cetera, et cetera. And it made me realize that, oh, like I actually don't even really need Facebook ads if this is like all of my target, potentially target market, target demographic, and there's 500,000 people in here, there's likely a lot of clients in here, which as my calendar has been booking up from just those couple of posts, I'm realizing like, oh, wow, like I should have been doing this before. So you can use it for ads. You don't necessarily need it for ads. I would suggest using it for organic based content like YouTube, your Facebook profile, and inside of like particular YouTube, Facebook groups, as well as inside of on like Instagram, stuff like that. You can repurpose a lot of this stuff. It's literally like 10 pieces of content that you need. And I'll be talking about those 10 pieces of content, the 4 types of content that you can use as well. We'll be talking about that inside of the challenge. Let me pull up our 5-day plan, and I'll talk about everything that we are going to be doing during the challenge. So on day 1, we're going to be talking about how to create high converting content. So we'll talk about, that's going to be like the foundation. Day 2, we'll talk about the number 1 type of content that kills cash flow. If you guys remember, I actually did this one as a live stream. We're going to be digging deeper into that and expanding out into it. And day 3, we'll be talking about content that gets you seen and heard and paid. So this is where we're going to dive deeper into, deeper than just social media. We're going to be diving deeper into the other types of content that you need. Day 4, we're going to talk about the system, like how to actually make this simple so that we're not doing, 90-day content calendars and having to come up with content all the time. It's like, let's put the system together. I'm all about working smarter. And then day 5, we're going to be talking about the call to action and where to put it. So we're going to be talking about that commitment and then also like how to actually structure that out. So the way that I have this, challenge planned out, you'll have a workbook. So we're going to be going through, I'm going to be teaching you each day. We have general admission. We also have a VIP option. The general admission is essentially like a watch only mode, but you're going to get a lot still general admission. You still get the digital workbook and you can come to the sessions, take notes. Then you have the VIP option. This is for you if you actually want help with your content, because we'll have an hour before the general admission session where you'll be able to ask questions, get feedback. And for each of the pieces that you're going to be putting together, you'll be able to get some feedback from that. What else? I think that's it. Okay, so for the challenge, there will be recording. So you're going to need about 2 hours per day. All right, you're going to need at least an hour to watch the training, and then you're going to need an hour to do the assignment, the challenge task for that day, about an hour. The recording will be up for 24 hours. So it's a challenge. Like, you got to challenge yourself. I'm going to watch this or show up live. You can come at lunchtime. I have it lunchtime Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to show up live. I'm going to do the task, and then we're going to move on to the next day. So the goal is to help you get results. That's the goal. So we got to challenge you just a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Spencer does. Yeah. He does have a really big channel. Okay. All right, cool. Well, that is what I have for today. I hope this was helpful. If you want to continue the conversation, join me inside of our free group. It's called Digital Course Creators and Coaches Community. It's absolutely free. You can join us. Go to LaTisha.tv/group in order to join. I'm going to get this graphics going good. There we go. Join the free group, LaTisha.tv/group. Until next time, remember that your dreams deserve your decision and you deserve to achieve your dreams, but only if you decide to do whatever it takes to get them. So go, dream, decide, do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.